What up, guys? It's the long-awaited return since the election stream. Ugh. I called out of work the day after that stream because I was hungover than a mug. Drank way too much. Might have said some things we didn't mean to some people. Might have said some things we really meant to some people. Who knows? I don't remember a lot of it. But Trump's president now. Hamas is already requesting ceasefire. Middle East drama is going to get shored up real quickly before Trump is even in office. We'll talk about that on Monday. But right now, I want to start this because there's a debate on Crucible that has been supposed to happen for a while, and it's finally happening. Ben Thorpe versus Glen Lawrence. I've talked to Glen a couple times. He's pretty cool. He's all right. He's all right. Never talked to Ben, but everybody knows who Ben is. And I'm going to play this in 1.25. It's live right now, so you can just go watch it on their channel. But I'm going to sit here and watch it. And unfortunately, Crucible is going to take it down probably as soon as it's over. So whenever it ends, it's just going to stop. So I'm only going to get to see what we see here. We're like an hour behind. This is domestic DV. I don't know how you do this debate if you're not allowed to say domestic beep or beep violence. You have to say DV. But they're debating it. Ben's saying that DV should not be a thing. Glen's saying it should be a thing. I've already listened a little bit while I was walking Echo, and I don't know. It just doesn't look good.
Glen being a prime.
You say you agree that like Ben is winning the debate, then what does that mean? That now you support DV and it's a mess. No offense, Glenn, but I think he knows this. He knows he's not the best debater out there, but I think he's trying to get better, so he's just doing it. So I gotta respect that. But anyway, should DV be allowed? Should We're not a thing, just not a thing. Just regular violence. It's just violence. Let's see. And then I'll probably, if anybody in chat wants to play chess, just don't do it through Discord. Just get chess.com. I'll pull up chess.com if anybody wants to play chess. I was thinking about playing Resident Evil, but I need more time to like get into it. I only have an hour and a half. Let's watch this.
Primary example of that. What there are. I'm open.
Lawrence and Ben, I'm going to let you open. You have 7 minutes on the clock.
Okay.
Then we'll move over to Glen Lawrence, and then we'll get into.
I don't know if we're going to
Go
be
ahead
able to
when
do
you're
this.
Okay, ready to go. So I have 3 points that I wanted to make today as an opening with Glenn. I'm hoping we can have a fruitful debate and not get bogged down in just like simple debate nonsense as we have before in getting to this point. My 3 points are that these laws, these DV laws, are an innovation. They're a radical innovation, and they're relatively recent, and therefore are not as set in stone as many of us think who've been raised with these laws in existence think they are. Secondly, that a lot of people who want to be on the side of men don't realize that the subversive ideas inherent in these laws have woven their way into their thinking, which is very, very dangerous. Glenn being a primary example of that. And thirdly, that these laws represent an existential danger to society and need to be addressed head on in all this red pill like gaming.
Yeah, this is why when you go into a red pill space and you say the woman O doesn't exist, and that's just some feminist stuff that they tell you so they can cuddle with you, and you want to spend all the time getting lovey-dovey. Supposed to be the way God made sex is wham bam, thank you, ma'am. We ain't trying to dilly dally and do all these weird things, these unnatural things. There's a lot of unnatural things that happens, and they say the marriage bed is not defiled, but with some of the stuff people be doing these days, I don't know. That's called sodomy.
System stuff is not going to work. The only way this is going to be defeated is to be defeated soundly with sound philosophy and a rejection of the radical feminist ideology that people like Glen unknowingly import into their thinking. So to start a little bit with the history, of course, domestic violence is, DV is a thing in society. It's always been a thing. People hurt and kill people that they love. That's always been the case. Throughout almost all of human history and almost all cultures, there has been an acceptance, but a limitation of it. The classic example, we in the West, our legal tradition comes from Roman law. The most famous law is the Rule of Romulus, having to do with this, is the Rule of Romulus, 953 BC. The Rule of Romulus held that a man could only discipline his wife with an implement no wider than his right thumb. So it's kind of a limitation, but also obviously the acceptance of it. From 953 until the 1970s,
No longer?
you basically have
Can
a
we do
very,
length?
very consistent Christian ethos, which understood that we're not much different than the Romans. It was generally accepted. Glen's going to make an argument from silence, which is a terrible argument. The Bible doesn't really talk about it much, which implies that it basically recognizes the structures of the day as normal. Church teaching. There's a notable 15th century.
I think Ben's kind of right about this, saying that the Bible doesn't talk about it. The Bible kind of is talking about it through silence. If there's nothing said about it, it probably wasn't a huge problem back then. Meaning either it happened and people didn't look down on it, or it just didn't happen that much. Men didn't have to, not have to, men didn't feel the reason to do that, which, what do you think's more likely?
A French manual of marriage that encourages men to be strong and disciplined, but also to be, kindly and gentle in a certain way too. Only in the 1970s, in the 1980s, and actually in the 1990s did this turn into what we have today, this regime that's seen as normal. Actually, interestingly, Joe Biden, who's on his way out, thank God, is one of the primary people who made this part of the structure of society that we all face today. And what I want to show with Glen is that this philosophy, this stuff we think is normal, that the cops show up to your door, that police spend 40 to 60% of their time and effort dealing with these issues,
and it's the most dangerous call for a police officer. So I think probably the most officers die on DV calls.
Rooted in a deeply anti-masculine philosophy known as dominance feminism, which, if you actually unmask what it's saying, almost no one would believe in. And yet it is the motivating, in its origins, in its implementation, it is the motivating philosophy of this insane legal system, which again is new and is subversive. Now, Glen will say, to my second point about subversion, that he's not a feminist, that he's opposed to feminism. But he'll say things that, like, while they sound traditional and pro-masculine, like men should be held accountable for their actions and that they derive their authority from the ascent of their families, while that sounds like it might be traditional, vaguely American, is a radical departure from traditional.
By the way, this is the most garbage opening. I'm just moving pieces, but we both just traded a queen for a queen. But I have a check lined up. They have to move that pawn or his knight in front.
Traditional understanding that a man gets his authority not from those he rules over, but from God directly through nature, not through the church, through his nature. And if you look at a man and you see like the differences between males and females, you can discern that with just the most obvious, just like opening of your eyes. And that to defy that, as Glen will do, is to defy nature itself, as well as the church, who obviously just buttresses that and is acting in conformity with nature. Now I want to switch. So that I want to show, and I think it really, I'd love to do with Glen instead of the stupid, like second grader kind of debate level stuff, to really drill down on the nature of the difference between men and women in a family. He denies that there's a difference. He will admit superficial differences, but he denies the fundamental difference, which is to deny nature, which is to destroy society. So Glen is actually, although he might seem like, oh, he's somewhere in the middle, he's actually the worst thing for society is guys like him. And I'm going to point that out tonight. Far worse than the radical feminists who obviously hate men is a guy like Glen who destroys society while claiming to be masculine.
Oof.
And thirdly, most importantly, I want to say the red pill is an attempt, in some ways, laudable attempt to try to game the system and get around these laws. There's a recognition of this kind of evil in society. And there's a way, the red pill, I believe, is basically a way to try to avoid the consequences of this evil through things like not getting married, getting vasectomies, and all this kind of ludicrous demasculating stuff. And that we cannot do that as a society, as hard as it may sound, to be able to do it. I know I'm on my last minute here. Let me wrap it up by saying it's an existential threat to everyone out there, whether or not you've been affected by these laws. You should know how radical they are, and that they can get to at any point, and that they represent for every female the equivalent of abortion in relationships. They can destroy their families
need to take my castle
at the drop of a dime. And that's something we should all meditate on and not try to avoid.
All right, appreciate that opening statement. Just real quick, because I don't want to
strong
chat all
opening.
night. Ben, can you just tell everybody that you don't bang your daughter so that they'll fucking stop?
Yes, I have never inappropriately touched my daughter.
Okay. Glen Lawrence.
Of course.
You got 7 minutes on the clock. Go ahead when you're ready.
I need to put something in front of.
Unmute yourself, Glen. Unmute yourself, bro.
Sorry about that. So what we just heard here, Ben saying I'm a feminist. Well, you know what? We all have feminism in us. We all grew up in feminism to some degree. If you were born anytime after the 1960s, you grew up in a very
whatever. I lost this game.
Social world. So you have been raised by feminists.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, everybody has been somewhat.
That's a bullshit cop out. Just because everybody's been raised in a culture where everybody should do drugs and abort babies and stuff doesn't mean that we just accept that and so say, yeah, everybody's into all that stuff now. Did not like that at all, Glenn. What are you talking about? Everybody's feminist. Just because, no, it's everybody who doesn't want to be called a misogynist is a feminist, because now men are scared of being labeled a misogynist by women and an incel and all this other bull crap. So they'll go along to get along with the feminist stuff, but it's not in everybody.
Affected by feminism. But that's besides the point. Ben says that, he wants to
I need
talk
to
about
just
that
throw this
these
game.
laws
I
are,
can't do anything.
as he put it, radical laws. They're an essential threat to society.
This is horrible.
And that that he believes that there should be disciplining your wife with force. He believes that a man has a right to discipline his wife through force, and that if any law enforcement gets involved in you disciplining your wife, in his words, with force, that is wrong. That is wrong. It should be, you should be able to do whatever you want in your house, and those underneath their household. So, Ben thinks that his wife and his kids are property.
Save this bishop.
That they belong to him. That they're his possessions. That he owns them. He could do whatever he chooses and wills with them. And you have no say so. No, the government has no say so that within his property, he could do what he pleases. He has exhibited this
open up my castle
recently, and which caused him to get into some recent legal trouble, as I present this video here to showcase this is what the type of behavior he wants to be.
He's gonna play the video of Grace getting Ben kicking Grace. Andrew almost doesn't let this slide. He almost doesn't allow this into evidence, but he does.
Be able to have within his household, and he thinks it's acceptable. Andrew, if you could
what, you didn't want that?
Or is that no, I don't think I will. So this is not this debate is not for the purposes of personal attacks on either of you. It's to debate a specific issue. I saw the video of the kick. It was I'm sorry that you hurt your foot, Ben. That looked painful.
Got him. Bro, this is so dumb. It looked like a brother and a sister roughhousing around.
But from my standpoint as a moderator, I don't give a shit about it. It's not important to me at all. He kicked.
I don't deny it. I don't deny it. Yeah.
If you guys,
that's fine. Yeah. It is part of my point that he thinks that this type of behavior.
All right, put it up, play the fucking video, but it just like don't make the debate either one of you. Don't focus on.
I have no problem.
I'm not
listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't focus this debate on making it personal and about the two of you. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to debate the issue. So,
right.
All right.
You look like you're going to cry, and then you hold back because you're so afraid of Daddy doing something.
He kicked her kind of hard, but. Yo, if I had to live with Grace, I'd probably kick her too.
So that's supposed to be acceptable. You know, kicking your child, fine. As long as it's in your household, you can do whatever you want with those underneath you, underneath your care. You know, see, Ben, I have questions that I would like to ask you in this debate, so you can help me understand a little bit more about what you think domestic violence is. And you know,
fuck, why did I do that? What am I doing?
What kind of authority does a man have within his home and those underneath him? I would love to know if you could clarify for
I don't
me
know why.
Some questions as we go through this debate. Can you define domestic violence, and can you explain to me what is the authority that a man has in his home with those underneath, with those under his rule?
Absolutely. Is this what you're doing in your opening statement?
Yeah. That's
okay, you want me to answer a question?
I want you to stop, both of you. Right? It's he said he's done with his opening, so we're going to move into the back and forth. But before we do, my job as a moderator here is to keep the debate on task, not to interfere with what is being debated. That is all my job is. I'm going to stop you guys from talking over each other. I'll keep it to the topic at hand. But I'm not here to interfere with either one of you. I'm not here to intercede on your behalf. I'm not here to save either one of you from each other's arguments. That is not my job. My job is to moderate, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So with that, I'm going to open the floor up, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Ben, can you define? Can I take your question that you just asked? Okay, so it's really important. Okay, so there are two models of the roles of men and women in a family. Okay. One model, do you know that when you talk about property, right? That's a feminist garbage line. It is not that. It is not that. Hold on, let me just talk, and you can talk. It is not that women and children were seen literally as property. But I actually did a little research today about this. Under English common law, a man was held responsible for the behavior of his children and his wife, and therefore had the right to discipline them because he was held responsible for them. That's where this property idea comes from. And I do believe that that's correct. And still men today are basically held to that standard, although legally it's changed a bit. But as parents, you basically are held responsible for the actions of your children. And therefore you have the right and the duty to discipline them as best you can. So if you want to say, and here's an interesting thing, Glenn, under that English common law, if a man killed his wife, he would be held to the same standards as the rest of society. There were no specific laws regarding that. So a murder is murder. It's not like he would be exonerated. But interestingly, the other way, the woman would be accused of regicide. Do you know what that word means? Regicide? Killing of the king. And it was considered the most heinous of crimes because in killing her proper authority, she's rejecting everything in society. So today it would be like killing a police officer who has the lawful right? So that's where the death penalty really gets hit hard. So there was a double standard, and I stand by that double standard, and I think that's the only way in which you can have a society that functions. Now, the other possibility is that you have egalitarianism, where you say men and women are equals, that they both have the same responsibilities, and that they may have authority towards their children, but that it's equal and that they share authority and responsibility. That's your philosophy, right, Glenn? That a woman and a man are equals.
No, these are the assumptions that you keep on making, but continue.
I'm asking you.
Well,
you asked me a question. I think they're radically different roles.
Absolutely.
You think they're pretty much the same.
No, I never said that. You
keep on asserting that.
You keep on asserting that. You keep on asserting that I think this, and you're speaking for me, and I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, so tell me how men.
No. Actually, I really want to get back to hold on. I really want to get back to this whole this like he has the authority to if he murdered his wife, it's murder. Right. But
Glenn, real quick, I'm sorry, I got to stop the debate, but Glenn, pipe your mic up a little bit. You're too low.
Okay.
It's hard to tell in the backstage area, even though I try to equalize mics, because until the debate gets going, you don't know how animated a person will be or not be. So
how about
mic up a little bit? Yep. Better.
Also, I don't know how this person hasn't won this game because I've played horribly, but he's only +1 right now. We're actually making a comeback. If I could set something up here, but these 2 castles up top are screwed me. What if I do this? He does this, I do this. That's not good. I need to push a pawn or something. Push upon him.
Go ahead.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. Ben, you mentioned he could the husband has the right to discipline anybody, his wife, his kids, in his own home because he has the authority over them. He's responsible for them. What does that discipline what does that look like?
What does discipline look like?
What does that discipline look like? Could you I don't know, smack your wife just because she burnt the lasagna. That's discipline, right?
Now you're going to say in every circumstance.
I'm just asking. I'm trying to get it.
Can I answer, Glenn? Glenn?
There's about to be a crazy exchange here. So his pawn gets this, my castle takes this, his bishop takes this. My king can't take it, but I have a bishop here. Right, so it goes take. Oh, he has that castle there. Huh. Crap. I think we're screwed here. I think he got it. Boom. No, I can't take that. I will get it from my... If his bishop takes my bishop, my knight takes his bishop. Then from there out, he has 2 castles, and he just has to pin my king down. Now, that I feel like was a good thing, because this opens up my pawn to get a route through. I still don't want to take that bishop yet. Let's do this.
Can we do that? Can we do that? You ask a question and I answer it. How about that? Would that be
What up,
okay?
Amanda?
Yeah, can you just clarify? I'm just getting some
Okay,
clarification.
I was in the middle of answering.
It's not
You let me
gonna be
get
the
3
rule.
words in before you interrupted me because you're a bitch. Shut your fucking mouth and let me answer the question, and then we'll get back to you and you can do a follow-up question. Is that going to work for us?
Continue, Ben.
Okay. In every circumstance, with any group, any 2 people in any family, can I tell you that there's a
He's
math
+8 now.
problem
He's got
that
it
tells you
now.
exactly the right way to exercise that authority towards that woman
Yeah,
by
I
you
can't
as
push my
who you are
pawn.
as a man? No. And no one has ever proposed that. Certainly, there are limits. And when you say a man can do whatever he wants in his own home, only a moron would possibly think.
You were weird. Well, you know, there's 2 weird guys running the country right now, so it seems like I'm on the right team. Let's go for being weird. If you're not weird, you're probably a little lame.
Then who
that
governs
could
these
possibly
limits?
be
Who
how it
governs
should
these
be
limits?
exercised.
My turn?
Who
But
governs
yes,
these
I
limits?
can't do anything.
But yes, there
Just
are
win,
times
bro. I'm
and
gonna
circumstances.
concede.
If a woman has been wanton in her disregard for her wifely duties, that a man can discipline her, including physical discipline. Yes, Glenn.
And who
Yes.
governs these limitations, Ben?
Excuse
Hang
me?
on, real quick, guys. Glenn, you got to turn your mic up more, or you're just going to be drowned out the entire
Talk
debate.
louder, Glenn, like a man. Sit up straight and talk louder.
Ben,
There we go.
is that better?
Yeah, turn it up high, man. You need
All
it.
How about now?
Yeah, better. All right.
All right, sorry. Ben, who governs these limitations? Who determines what limitations can a man go?
That is an excellent question, Glenn.
Is it the man or is it the law?
To some degree, society can step in at a certain point. It's usually at a very high level where there's like injury, clear like death, those kind of things. Okay. But largely the man is unchecked within the family. It is not the woman that checks the man's authority, nor is the children who check the man's authority. He is unchecked.
Okay.
By the way, I should have won that game, but I was not paying attention in the beginning, and I just started throwing pieces. That dude was not good. He's a 630, 542.
Which is, you could say, is very dangerous, but it's
So he has no accountability. Got it.
No, that's not true, Glenn. But it's largely not women and children who hold a man accountable. And when women and children feel like they can hold a man accountable, short of sin, short of something that's clearly right, this is where you have the destruction of society, where they feel like that's their role. Yes. In the same, can I use an analogy, Glenn?
Yeah.
In the Catholic Church, the Pope's authority is unchecked. It is unchecked. And in the executive order, as we're finding out with Donald Trump, within the executive order, the president's authority is also unchecked. And that is a normal part of any authority, that there's a certain way in which someone at the top is not under the supervision of those beneath them. And to subvert that is to subvert the entire thing.
So Ben, if he's unchecked, he has this unchecked authority. Could he, like, I don't know, just like his wife is a little bit late from the store, could he just grab her by the hair when she gets out of the car and just drag her in the house and tell her to go make some fucking dinner? Can he do that? Is that unchecked authority? Is that acceptable in this unchecked authority?
Could he?
Could he do that?
He could.
And unchecked. You know, without
Should
any
he
I
conflict.
did say at
Probably
a certain
not.
level, it
But we're trying to.
points
I
would
need
be
to
called.
understand what this level is. So it's like, could you like, I don't know, if your daughter's not
Hassling?
listening, and you know, could you just like slap her around and then grab her and just throw her in the car and tell her to shut the fuck up and tell her to start cleaning up her room or something, or your trailer?
Okay, so
Like,
Glenn, once again,
I'm
we're
just
getting
wondering, is this part of the unchecked thing, or like, I don't know, since like you and your wife don't live together anymore, and you guys are going through your thing, like, and you're horny, could you just like go in there and just like rape your daughter if you go rape your daughter if you want to, because you decide that, like, you know what?
Please
You're
don't use
Glenn,
that
we're not
word.
supposed to
Hang on,
use that
use the
language,
word
and also,
essay,
like, I
bro.
don't know what you're
Essay,
talking
I'm sorry.
about.
Use the
What's wrong
word
with you?
essay. Use the
I'm
word
sorry.
DV. If you guys
Sorry.
can't adhere to the TOS of YouTube, then we're gonna have to turn the debate off. So keep
Help me.
it within the
Help me.
confines. All right.
Is that unchecked authority? Since if you don't hurt her, there's no death, there's no like, is that unchecked authority? Is that, who governs that?
Okay, so I did say like that's within the bounds of things that are obvious sins, and also like, you know, there are laws about certain.
Who determines their sins?
Excuse me.
Who determines their sins?
Who determines whether sexual
The
assault
sins.
of your daughter is a sin? I mean, Glenn, come on.
I'm just, what if
Let's-
you're an atheist? You don't believe in God. So who determines their sin?
There are no atheists, but that's a separate argument. There are just people who reject God because they hate him. But everyone
Okay,
knows.
Whatever the case is, who determines that I'm not going to live by that? It's not my way of living.
Glenn,
I'm asking you to clarify this.
You're doing an
take that,
interrogation
I
of me. You
take
keep
that.
asking in any prudential situation. You want me to say like, what is the right thing to do? I don't know. It
But
depends
this
on
is
the
your
situation.
worldview. You should know. This
But
is the
men
argument
should
that you're
have.
Look, this is a four pawns in a straight row. Everything's developed. This is a good start. Now him doing that, I don't know what happens there. Bishop, we're not trading a bishop. So I can run with my pawn. Or I can run with my bishop. If he moves that, that goes there, that goes there. I think we're okay here. I'm hoping he moves that knight and I can grab his queen up real quick. Probably not. Yeah, that's what I figured was going to happen there. But, it's probably not good. Yeah, I figured I was going to have to run with this. What's that there? And I take that and I lose this. Or I run this way. Kind of do a little retreat here. We'll do a little retreating. Strategic retreating.
But my point is that men should have broad and strong
I'm trying to
protections
understand where
for the
this is.
Glenn, you
I'm
have to
trying to
let me
find the
finish
boundaries.
talking.
I need you to give me the boundaries. Just answer the question.
Can you let me finish talking before you start?
Can you
thinking
answer the
again?
question?
Okay. So this
Answer
is
the question.
Are you going to let me
takes
talk
knight.
to answer
Are you
your
going to
question?
answer the question?
Hang on. To be fair, you've had far more speaking time than Glenn has thus far, Ben. Though I understand he
knight for
from
2
your end
pawns.
he's
Is that a
shotgunning
fair?
questions
Is
at
that a
you. But
good
perhaps I
trade?
can bring some sanity to it very quickly. I think he just wants to understand, and I
Don't
mean I
know
do
if it
too, maybe for the
is.
audience as well, so that we can understand where you're coming from.
Sure.
How this structured authority would work in real time under circumstances like what Glenn Lawrence is postulating here.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to flip it a little bit and say, like, Glenn says that a man cannot put his hands on a woman under any circumstances. Is that correct, Glenn?
That's not what I said.
Like,
Stop trying to flip it and just
self-defense
answer
is
the
strict
question.
self-defense.
Just stop trying to flip things and just answer the question that was at hand.
So this is a technique where you're saying to someone,
Ben,
I want to
answer
know in
the
every
question.
circumstance how you would answer
Like, I
this.
want
We're
to know
talking about basic. We're talking about
you.
Glenn, you
I'm
can't,
trying to understand the parameters
all
here.
right, just go ahead.
I'm just trying to understand the parameters. Don't try to assume what I'm saying. Just answer the question.
Okay, Glenn,
Why
what
can't
field
you
are we
answer the
talking
question?
about here? What field are we talking about? Law,
I just
right?
gave you the
Okay, no, hey, moron, just for 1 second, put your little brain cap on, okay? Does the law tell you exactly how to drive in every situation? No, it says these are the boundaries, don't cross them within that.
And we're
drive
trying to
as you
figure
can.
out what's these boundaries, Ben. I'm asking you, where's these
I already
boundaries
told
at?
you what the
No,
boundaries
you
were.
didn't. I just
Glenn.
gave you
Yes, I
examples.
did.
I'm asking you, is this okay? Is this all right? Does this
Let me
pass?
give you, let me give you not just a theoretical,
See,
but
it's
an
like a
actual
knight for
practical.
two
How about you just give me an
pawns,
exact answer to my
but
question?
Okay, can I
opens up
answer your
his
fucking
wall.
question, or are you just
I don't know.
gonna sit there
Can you?
yelling?
Because you haven't.
Right. So I can see the time to this guy. Go ahead, Glenn. Just ask a question and interrupt me.
I already asked.
We'll call that a
Wait for an
debate.
answer.
I'll answer your question. In the Russian Federation, they
So this should be 2 pawns die. I get 2 of his pawns, he gets my knight, but I open up his sidewall. Or he does that. So then here we also have 2 pawns for a knight. Leaves his castle open for attack. Knight here, we take that pawn. Pawn takes this. Bishop takes this. So either way, we're forked but I get 2 pawns for a knight out of either one of these exchanges. But this one leaves his castle open. This one breaks down these defenses. So if we go pawn here, boom, boom. Knight takes pawn, pawn takes knight, pawn takes pawn. Opens my castle up. That's what I want to do. And then at the end of the whole, or he just takes my bishop right here. Take that. He takes my bishop. Huh. Yeah, that's not good. So in that case, we need to do this way. Either way, I'm losing some knights. He's losing a whole bunch of pawns.
Largely rejected the international pressure that was put on them to accept these domestic violence laws. Okay, and what they came up with is a simple thing. If a woman,
well, I'm not a big fan of Ben either, but he's like objectively destroying Glen in this debate.
is hospitalized,
shit, I didn't think he was going to do that
3 times, or she has to be hospitalized with an actual physical injury, not a complaint, not the claim of abuse. Okay, then and only then will the state intercede. Okay.
Okay, so the husband can lock her in the house.
There's a good parameter.
So the husband can like keep her locked in the house. You can lock your daughter in the house and beat her, and then she never goes to complain because she can never leave the house. So as long as the state, that's the only way the state will get involved, right?
These emotional freaking arguments. Oh man. So you're just gonna beat your wife every day? Come on, man.
Glenn, there are laws against imprisonment.
Really? But where? What laws?
Glenn, there's no laws that apply to anyone. Apply to people.
There's laws against assault. There's laws against battery. There's laws against imprisoning somebody in your home. He does need to get Ben to concede that he just he wants to be able to hit his wife and his kids, but not with the extreme examples. Okay, I need to play.
But what laws? Your household. You have, as you said, you have authority over your household. You can tell her she's grounded. She can't go outside.
Yeah, you can tell your child that you're grounded.
You can tell your wife she's grounded too, right?
Yes, that she can't.
Can you tell your wife that she's grounded? Can you tell your wife that she can't go outside?
You can tell your wife that she can't go out with the girls on girls' night because she's not.
No, I'm asking, can she go outside? Yes, can you tell your wife that she can't go outside and go tell the police that you are beating her? Can you stop her from doing that within your purview of being the authority over your home?
Can you stop your wife from calling the police? How would you do that?
I didn't ask. I said call. I said go get the police. Leave. Go to the police station. You can stop her from doing that, right? In your worldview.
Glenn, are you aware of cell phones? Are you aware of the internet? Like, it's really not possible.
That's not part of my. That's not my question. I'm asking you.
Household
I'm asking you. Why can't you just answer the question? Okay. If she wanted to leave to go to the police station,
Glenn, can
I'll report.
This is a technique.
This is important to understand. How far of this freedom of control that you have as a father or head of the household, of the husband, that your authority goes. How much discipline is too much and how much discipline is not enough? Like, I'm trying to understand where the boundaries are here.
And the answer is it depends on the situation.
This is a very dangerous position to have when you're saying that the husband is literally unchecked. He has no consequences, unchecked authority, right? He's like the Pope, right? The Pope is unchecked authority, like the president, unchecked authority. So at some point, there has to be something that checks that authority. And who checks the husband's authority is the question. And you're saying that nobody could go, the wife can't go and say that, oh.
So he's saying the cops check the husband's authority.
Well, the husband's doing this because he doesn't answer to her, but who does he answer to then? Is the question. Who does he answer the cops?
That is perfect, Glenn.
Does he answer to the cops?
Husband doesn't answer
answer the question. Does he answer to the cops?
Hang on, Glenn. Let him answer. You asked him a bunch of questions. Go ahead, Ben.
Glenn is saying, that's right. A husband answers to his wife. That's exactly right. You're a feminist.
No, I didn't say that.
Husband doesn't answer to his wife.
I asked you a question.
You say society will unravel. That's perfect, Glenn. You laid your...
Because the wife has the cops behind her.
Cards right out there.
I never said a husband answered to his wife, and if you ever try to twist my words,
but you did, because the wife has the cops behind her. The cops are going to be on the wife's side.
You said if a husband,
as you said,
that is scary because he's going to be unchecked.
Listen.
That's exactly what
you said. You said the husband doesn't answer to his wife, so then who does he answer to? It's a question, you dumb shit. Can you get that through your head?
Well, okay, so I already told you he answers to God.
Okay, God. So God's gonna come down here and arrest
society in extreme situations. Yes.
Okay, so what are these extreme situations? I just gave you some extreme examples, and you have not answered it whether or not he would be answering.
Are there any brain cells up there? I've already answered this question.
No, you have not.
An example of an actual implementation of laws like this in a country today. They have parameters that are set by law. Legal parameters. Glenn.
Enough. Relax. Okay. We're to the point where nobody can hear over the two of you because of how much tit for tat is going on here. So
can I suggest that I be given the interrogatory?
Hang on, Ben.
Just doing one
Ben,
thing.
I'll let you get to an interrogation. Right, we got plenty of debate left. Glenn, if you want to reframe and go back into it, you're welcome to go back into it. But when you do ask a question, try to give him some time to answer it. Because if you just 10 seconds afterwards go answer the question because you don't like where it's leading to, then we kind of get into this hustle. So try to take a step back, right? Frame it how you want to, and then ask the question you're trying to ask.
So Ben, I want to know more. Like you're proposing this hypothetical society that we don't have right now. Okay, this is not not the world that we live in. Right. So I mean, I need to know what this world without domestic violence laws could look like. All right. As you're saying, because you're saying the husband has this basically immunity. For okay, but again, if let's say the wife is not in the mood, can he just force his wife to do things to him to satisfy him sexually if she's not in the mood?
Okay, this is interesting.
I don't want to lose my bishop.
Well, no, it still falls under DV. It still does fall under domestic violence.
Okay, Glenn, you and I both say we believe in the Bible, right?
Okay, can you guys just real quick one more time? I'm going to reiterate this. Do not use that word, and do not use rape either. Use DV. Use SA, please. All right, go ahead.
Right.
It's so hard in this debate.
Paul states very clearly that within marriage, you do not have a right to be fickle. You owe that. It's called the marital debt or the marital obligation in traditional Catholic teaching. And as a woman, you do not have the right to withhold that from your husband. In your type of feminist thinking, a woman can do that. We've had this discussion before, and you think it's fine that a woman does that. Now,
actually, I never
are
said
there
that.
Some circumstances?
I never said that.
Obviously, if the woman is is injured, where it would be, or like what time of the month or whatever. Yes, of course. But generally speaking, no, Glenn, no. She does not have the right to do that, nor does the man have the right to do that on her behalf.
So you're saying it's totally permitted that you could just, I don't know, punch your wife in the back of the head, bend her over, flip up her dress, and just take what you want and tell her, I'm just wondering if she tells you no. If she said, no, I'm not in the mood. Is that what you're saying? Is that appropriate? Is what I'm asking you. Is that what you're saying is okay?
Punch your wife in the back of the head, Glenn.
I'm just wondering, Ben, can you answer the question?
It's just a bunch of
I don't even know what you're saying. Is it perfectly acceptable for a man to punch his wife in the back of the head and
just take it what she wants?
No, of course not.
Okay, would that be a punishable offense by law?
Of course, if he punches her in the back of the head, yes, of course.
And then just proceeds to take her sexually how he wants. Is that okay?
You're asking me exactly how would a society adjudicate?
I'm asking you because
the same thing you're doing over again. Glenn,
I'm asking you
a new tactic.
I don't know what
Hold on 1 second. Let me correct you, Glenn. This is what pro-choice people do with pro-life people. Remember, they did this with Donald Trump.
Most extreme argument.
So, if it's against the law, what should happen? What should happen to a woman who has an abortion, right? And they want to get you to say like this is exactly what the penalties should be. Okay, that's a tactic. It's a bad tactic because
okay. Well, then I think we first need to understand what is the definition of domestic violence. Okay, and I'm gonna present a definition here for you because then you can maybe see why maybe we're at odds here, right? Domestic violence is a pattern of abuse or behaviors in relationships.
Bro, why can't you just say DV, dude?
I'm sorry. I'm reading.
Why is it so fucking hard to do?
I'm just reading my bad. DV can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, psychological, technological, actions or threats, or of actions or the other patterns of coerced behavior that influences another person within an intimate partner relationship that includes any behaviors that intimidate, manipulate, humiliate, isolate, frighten, terrorize, coerce, threaten, blame, hurt, injure, or wound somebody.
Yeah, okay.
That's from the Justice Department.
And that's a weird definition because like the V in DV, generally we understand that to be physical, but I understand that it's been expanded. It gets kind of murky when you do that. Like if I am like raise my voice at you, we wouldn't really use the word violence to describe that.
Not at all.
But in this context, it gets very blurry and very murky, which is one of the reasons why you can see the insanity underlying this whole regime, this whole mentality. To say
so
that
you're not wanting to work off this.
You then get into that transgender stuff of saying like if I call Billy a certain name, that like you know, she used to be. They say like you're murdering me, the old me. This is this kind of wordplay that's garbage. Okay, it's garbagey, but in some sense it can make a certain amount of sense. Glenn, can I?
Do you not want to work?
You asked me the same
definition?
dumb question. What exactly would you do in a situation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, we get it.
Glenn,
My
I'm just
answer
asking,
it
Ben.
depends. Okay, and there
Depends on
are
what?
no limits. But that men. Now, can I just pivot and switch it to you and say,
well, no, Ben, I just
why
need to know
is it that men should be given
can we operate on the same level of definition? That's what I'm trying to get to, Ben, because I said I just presented a definition. You disagreed with it. So what definition would you like to work with? So I understand what definition is that you want. So we know what DV is.
I think we kind of basically know what it is. What they're
no, I don't.
Hang on.
My freaking guard on my razor blade was not properly installed, and I sliced my finger open.
Listen, what he's asking here, Ben, is fair. So if this is a debate on
I'm about
DV,
to be in trouble here.
We do need to.
I'm about to be in trouble here. This is like, I thought that was building up to a good situation. Now it's kind of a bad situation. If I take this, he takes this, I take this, he takes this, I'm SOL. I don't know what to do here. Let's force him to move this. I don't know what to do. Let's just push a pawn. See if we can get a pawn up the board. We push this pawn up there and scare his bishop out. I'll be all right, Amanda. I'll be all right. What are you doing with that bishop, buddy? I don't know about all that mess. You need to calm down. He's going to take my castle. What an asshole. He's taking my castle. Kind of a rascal. What do I do here? Could back up with the castle. Threaten his bishop. Or I keep pushing the pawn. See if he takes the pawn. He's not gonna. He's gonna take the castle. Then I get the pawn to here. If he takes this, he can't. Yeah, I think we lose the castle here. We're doing a risky strategy. He takes bishop to here. Boom. Then he's threatening my queen. It's okay. I can get it here.
Establish our terms so that you guys aren't fighting over the term itself.
Yeah.
Okay, the literal term domestic means home, within the home. Okay, that usually means like within the family, although this has also been called intimate partner violence. And so it really doesn't affect parents and children. But this gets murky. All this stuff gets very, very murky. But domestic means the home. Violence usually means like forcing someone in a way that we associate with the term violence, which is either by hitting or jailing or imprisoning or something like that. I understand that people want to expand it. I actually am in favor of the expansion towards coercive control, because I think now we would catch a lot more women in that net, because women are far more controlling than men in intimate relationships. And I think all of us would say that's very, very true from experience. It is women largely who try to control men and not vice versa, although there are exceptions to it. So I'm happy with either term, but what you keep talking about is the V of, like, I think I can say the word violence by itself. And you're talking about smacking, hitting, punching, those sorts of things that you're obsessed with, right? And so, like, that's what we're basically talking about here. That's the most, like,
so can this be reduced? Can this be reduced to like
Mm-hmm.
hitting in the home, then something like that?
I have no problem with it. I think the other things
Queen's
are part
dead.
of it, and I'd like to meditate on why that particular thing is misandrist.
Okay, Glenn, do you have a problem with this definition here?
Queen's
Well,
dead.
I think, like, you know, it does
Might as well
expand
take
to
the
like
process.
physical force or like domineering or some type, like, because like, if you say just hitting in the home, then there's no sexual element there, and that could be part of domestic violence.
Okay, and Ben, do you guys agree kind of largely to this definition? Perhaps there's some semantic distinctions, but we're capturing the spirit of the thing. We're talking about the same thing here.
Yeah.
I'm totally in favor of changing the definition to control, because then I think it will be even on the sexes. And I actually think women are far more controlling than men. And I'd like to ask Glenn that question.
Hang on, I understand all that. I just want an agreement to a definition so that you guys aren't talking past each other. That's it. of what it is that we're talking about.
I'd say it's somewhere in between the two things. I mean, when you use the term violence, you tend to get, this is what you're thinking of, but it can be expanded to say like economic violence.
Can we just say it's a method or an attempt to use power, force, or some type of manipulation for power and control?
Yes, let's say it's about power, Glenn. Let's say it's about
power and control.
Okay.
Well, power and control, because you got power but no control.
Okay.
You're trying to have power and control over someone else.
Right. You have power and you exercise it to control another person. Now, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. Do women do that more to men, or do men do that more to women?
Well, we know that the statistics have shown that women commit more DV than men.
Okay, but how are you defining DV? This gets into it again. Okay, what I'm saying is just
like literally, that's why I just had that done. That's why I wanted you guys literally to define that so that you knew, so that question wouldn't come up.
The problem is, well, you'll find statistics though, but the statistics are about actual hitting. They're not like using a credit card without consent, so this is the problem with this kind of topic. It gets murky because, like any shifty kind of topic, it will be used one way under one circumstance. And
yeah, I know, I get it. So, like, I agree with that. I think you're right about that. That if you have terms in a debate, you can easily talk past each other. People can flip back and forth. In order to avoid that, right? The thing in question we're talking about, I think we had better get a definition we can both agree is the definition of the thing, so that we don't end up going back and forth to, well, it depends on what you mean by this, because this is the thing we're debating, right? Yeah. So we need to get this cleared up, I think.
I would call what Glen's definition is domestic abuse. I would not call it. I don't think the word violent. The word
well, that was the DOJ's version. Can we just say like to break it down? It would just be like a pattern of abusive behavior done to maintain power and control over another party.
Can we call that abuse? Can we just use the term abuse then? And then
actually, you know what? I think I see what's going on. So, can we agree to the term of what DV is in a modern definition? Though Ben, you may have your own definition, so you can give us, if you can agree to what the modern definition is, I think that we'll know what Glen's talking about, and then if you give us whatever your personal definition is, which is contrary to that, then he'll know what you're talking about. Does that make more sense?
I would prefer to call that abuse as opposed to violence, because I think to say that it's violent to, let's say, text your loved one too much and be annoying, it's abusive, but it's not violent. I just think the word violence here is doing way too much work. So I don't think Glen would have a problem with that.
I think like when you understand violence, you understand it's the fear or like the action, like the possibility that this action can take place. Like there is violence, there.
Right. We're in the end game.
Potential violence.
Right. You're talking about fear and violence. Okay, that's what
the potential threat of violence. The potential threat of violence.
The threat of violence, right? Okay, when you expand it to like say economically, like sort of like taking your spouse's credit card and going and buying stuff to like run down the credit card, that's not really violence. It's not a threat of violence, but it is abusive.
Your response could be the threat of violence. How you respond to her could be violent.
Okay, but her using the card is not violence. It's abuse.
That is abuse, but what your response could be violent.
Yes, I understand that, right? But you keep now going back to the old definition of saying it's this or the threat of this. Okay, that's fine, Glenn.
And I'm trying to wonder what can we just do like Andrew said? Andrew said, okay, can we agree to what the modern definition of DV is, and then you have your.
You're not conceding any ground by just acknowledging whatever the modern definition is, and then telling us what your definition is. So there's no seating. You're just acknowledging this is what they're saying it is, and I don't agree with that. Here's what I think it is. But then at least we know what you guys are, what your positions on this are, what you think the thing actually is.
Yeah. Can I just give you like another problem in this whole debate is they will often say domestic violence is a problem that women suffer at the hands of men.
Yes.
But then they'll say like I can go the other way, but like in effect, like the pronouns they use are always women, women, women. It's women's shelters. It's the Violence Against Women's Act. So it's convenient for them to shift to have it be misandrist in one context, but then actually like equality of the sexes.
But see, I can concede that to you. I don't even. I agree that there's problems with the wording in the language. Okay, we do have problems with the language and the way that, and to say that feminism has not played an impact on that would be ridiculous because it has. But to say that it's not, we should not have laws to protect those that are weaker or lesser than others, right? In station, right? It would be absurd. So I could say like yes, today's laws. Today's laws are ridiculous in the way that they perceive the Duluth model of feminism. I could give you all that, no problem. But that doesn't mean you got to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It just means they need to be reformed.
Glenn, do you think that in contemporary society, men have more power than adult women have?
No, not today.
Okay, so then why do women need protection from men? Don't men need protection from women?
If the language was changed and they removed like BAWA and to maybe say like, violence against spouse act or something, that would be different. Then that would cover both, right?
Okay, so you're defending these laws. These laws were put in place to defend women who are in oppressed rates of straight Marxism, who are been oppressed by men through violence to gain control over them. That's the Duluth model. You could look it up.
I know what the Duluth
These laws
model
are
is.
in place to empower women.
No,
to
it's
shift
not
the
necessarily
power structure at least to equality.
Duluth
but
model,
often
yes.
to
But
dominance.
domestic
Okay,
violence laws,
the
the spirit of the law is not. The spirit of the law is
Why
not.
can't you let me talk and then you talk?
I do let you talk. You just talk a lot.
You started. I was explaining my point.
Well, look, it is probably acceptable for Ben to get into his internal critique because the questions have been completely, at least the first half of the debate, from your side. But before you do that, I still am actually confused myself. I don't actually know what the definition here of DV that we're going with is. I don't actually know what it is here.
And you'll never get it clarified because this is how these kind of regimes take place. They play this game of being one thing at one moment and another thing another moment. You can't get it. Try to ask the state of I would get personal. Try to ask the state of Rhode Island what no contact means. And they will never specify it. They'll just arrest you, and then they might not arrest you. The whole regime takes place in this kind of this way of like it's one thing, then it's another thing, then it's another thing, then it's another thing, which is my point. It's incoherent. We all know what violence means. We all know what violence means. Everyone knows if I'm a victim of violence, that means something. It doesn't mean someone used my credit card who I'm married to. It doesn't mean someone raised their voice at me. But now you want to expand it, and it's brain breaking. Violence doesn't mean
if you want to move on to an internal critique,
your husband at work and sending him to a
Ben, if you want to move on to your internal critique, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. So Glenn, you say we need these laws to protect the weak from the strong. Okay. By you saying that, you're implying that women are oppressed by men. And yet when I ask you, are women oppressed by men, you say no. So
that's not what you asked me, Ben. That's not what you asked me.
Okay, let me ask you now. Are women oppressed by men? In 2024, if you've got men and women, are women oppressed by men, or is it vice versa, or is it equal? Which one is it, Glenn?
I do not think women are oppressed by men today.
Okay, so why do we need laws protecting them from men?
We need laws to protect people who are bigger, stronger, could do more damage physically to people.
Okay.
Especially within the home.
Great. Let's meditate on this a little bit.
Can I finish my answer?
No. Glenn,
okay.
Men are bigger and stronger than women. We all know that. That's a physical reality, right?
They are weaker.
Men, okay, we're talking about men here, okay? That's the guys with the penises, right? That's the people with the
penises. Women are weaker than men. Glenn. Women are weaker than men.
They're bigger. Glenn, do we need to do basic anatomy here?
I just said women are weaker, Ben.
Okay, physically. Okay, right? Okay. But you just said that women are not, in fact, less powerful in society.
Because our current society has given them the same station equally in a position of authority.
It's given them actually more power than men, right?
Well, yeah, if you really want to break it down, sure. You could say that they allow them to use,
despite the fact that men are bigger than them, right?
Yes, in a sense to protect them from physical violence from men.
Okay, so men are bigger than women, and throughout society, throughout every culture and every society throughout time until about 1980 in the West, everyone understood that as what's called a natural order. Why did God make men bigger than women? Glenn?
So men to have dominion over the earth.
Over the earth?
And all that inhabit it.
What does it have to do with
everything? Over the animals too.
Why did God make men bigger and stronger than women?
So that they can have dominion.
I don't know why he didn't. There's a lot of things he could do. I don't know why he didn't kill that pawn. I don't know why he didn't. He could have used his castle to take the pawn. He could have used. Yeah, if he uses that castle to take my pawn, I can't kill him with the bishop. I can't kill him with this. He stuffs that from happening, and he keeps his back lane protected. And then he should have just kept running me down and check. And I got to keep moving. But got it, boys.
Over the earth, all that inhabit it.
All right, Glenn, this is perfect. Can I go on a little journey with you into what's called dominance?
I really don't want to go on a journey with you, but go ahead, continue.
Okay. I get it. You're not gay. You're not going to have a conversation with me because you're not gay. Big W for you, Glenn. Let's go on an intellectual journey. It's okay. You won't ejaculate.
Just don't hold my hand. Just don't hold my hand, Ben.
It's going to be okay. Let's go on this journey. Now, here's the journey I want to go on. It's into something called dominance feminism. Now, dominance feminism is the core of feminism. And what it holds is that if you get down to all of the differences between male and female, what you get down to is the sexual act, right? I'm not going to get gross. But we all know what we're talking about here. And they say it's inherently that act is inherently dominating, where men dominate, men are aggressive, women are submissive, and women are receptive. And therefore, they say that the only possible solution is lesbianism. And I think you should be an advocate of equalitarian lesbianism, because at the core of it, Glenn, we both have kids, we've both had sex. Is at the core of masculinity an aggressive, dominant thing that women love and respond to by being submissive and receptive, unless they're hoes. Is that true?
Unless they're hoes.
A dominance, yes. Dominance does not mean physically kick them or beat them or harm them.
Oh, really? You don't think women like having a big, strong man who is excited to them
around, that smacks them around, that
do they not like that, Glenn?
That kicks them? Do you think that's what they like? They like that? I don't think they like that.
They don't?
I think they like that. Women watch on TV to protect them from somebody that's going to try to do that to them, to try to protect them from harm. Yeah, that's why they get the bigger, stronger man. That's why they like the bigger, stronger man. They don't like men that are going to be physically abusive to them.
Glenn, describe. Do you know what any of the top 5 sexual fantasies that women have are?
I don't watch porn like you do, man. I don't know.
You don't have to watch porn. You can do a little research, Glenn.
Or maintenance.
It's not just pornography. Okay, women like to be dominated by men, right? They like men who are what? How would you describe what a woman is attracted to, Glenn? Do you have no idea?
They like a man that has a dominant masculine presence. Yeah.
Okay. And does that involve a little bit of danger for them? And do they like that?
Yes, but it doesn't mean they like you to beat them, Ben.
Danger zone.
Well, I mean, let's take it like, if you look at the sexual act itself, is it not a little bit of like?
This is pretty much all Glenn needs to do. I told him this is basically what he needs to do, but I just don't like doing the constant extreme examples.
You know, the term in Latin for the women's organ is.
So like that one, what he just said, that was a good little line there, Glenn. And Ben just basically said, yeah.
Sheath, right? Vagina means sheath. Is it not like stabbing a little bit?
Yeah, Ben, but I don't think
they like that.
They want you to take, your dingus and then go from stabbing her vagina with your dingus and, stabbing her with a knife. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's similar, isn't it, Glenn?
Well, no, but it's not.
They like it. And they like it. And they like it. Your sword is big.
There you go.
It's not the same, Ben. It's not the same, Ben. They don't want you to take.
See, now Ben just lost. Ben just said, okay, having sex was the same thing as stabbing a woman with a knife. I don't quite. And he said, and they like it. I don't know if women like to get stabbed with knives. Some freaks probably like some stab play, but I don't know about that.
Take your fist and then stab their face with it. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing. They like the climax that they get from the orgasm. They don't really get an orgasm. I've never met a woman that got an orgasm from getting punched in the face. Man. I don't know. I don't know. Has anybody heard of a woman that got an orgasm from getting punched in the face? Anybody?
Carol?
Do you know a lot of women who are into BDSM? Do you think BDSM is a massive?
Have you met a woman that got an orgasm from getting punched in the face? I just want to know, Ben.
Women enjoy violence.
Answer the question, Ben.
Yes, they do, Glenn. Anyone knows that.
So you know a woman that got an orgasm from getting punched in the face?
From getting punched in the face? No, but women enjoy.
Okay, so then it's not the same thing.
Physical aspects, Glenn. There are other things that would be considered like, right? Yes, they do enjoy being dominated by an aggressive man, including a lot.
And I'm asking you, do they enjoy getting punched in the face?
Okay, so the only act you can talk about.
Well, you can't answer the question.
Your mother fucking loves it. I punch her in the face every night. She loves it.
Okay, I'm sure she does.
I mean, it's a DV thing, and so he's basically, Glenn's just trying to pin him down on, do you think it's okay to hit women? I think you have to go with morally it's wrong. But I think Ben already has said that. He said you're talking about morally and legally. Morally it's wrong, and in a moral society we wouldn't have to have laws against these sort of things.
Over and over and over again. They punch her face. Glenn, grow up.
Does your daughter like it?
Glenn, we're having a conversation.
Does your daughter like it? Come on, answer the question.
Your mother loves it.
You try to say that sexual act, having intercourse, is like stabbing, right?
Yes.
Right, so I'm wondering, so taking your fist, can you punch somebody in the face? The same motions. Do women like that, Ben? Do they get off by that?
A lot of women, when they're misbehaving, like to be checked by a strong man. That's absolutely right. Yes.
So a lot of women like to get punched in the face by a strong man. Is that what you're saying?
So you're just going to focus on punching in the face. Why don't you say?
I'm asking. Can you just answer? Okay, can you answer the question?
That's all you can understand.
I'm just asking you. Can you answer the question? You're saying a lot of women like to get
more than you and I would like to.
A lot of women like to get
more than you and I would like to be real about. Yes, many more than you or I would. A lot of women know they absolutely deserve that and would feel right to have it. Yes. Yes.
I would love to see the data on that, Ben.
Okay, I'll give you the data on it. Do you know what the top 5 female fantasies are sexually?
Yeah, see.
Getting punched in the face?
Physical violence.
I know the door-to-door man is on there, either the maintenance man or a door-to-door salesman. That used to be one of my little pickup lines when I was doing door-to-door sales. You know, one of the top 3 women's fantasies is a door-to-door salesman.
Being used by men just for sex, multiple partners, being degraded, all that stuff, right? And what is that? Where does that come from, Glenn? It comes from a natural desire to be.
He didn't even say it.
Subordinate, Glenn.
Sure, they could be subordinate, but that doesn't mean they like to get punched in the face, man.
Glenn, if you repeat that phrase again, I'm going.
What are you gonna do? You gonna punch me in the face, man? Are you gonna come over here and punch me in the face?
Show you exactly.
Dude, enough of that. That's enough of that, bro.
I'm sure you will.
Enough of that shit.
Stop, Glenn. I mean, use your brain a little bit.
I'm trying to get you to use yours. I'm just asking you simple questions. Like I'm trying. One, I would like to point out that you haven't even answered the question of, like, where's the parameters of this in this worldview of yours without domestic violence laws? You still haven't answered that. You still haven't answered, like, who governs it.
The parameters are what they were prior to this regime. All the way through until the 1970s, the parameters were that the same laws that apply to everyone in society apply within a home. And that's fine.
And what were they?
No.
You don't know what the laws of society are, Glenn?
I'm asking you what they were. You said 1970. Okay, so like what was going on?
No, I gotta get off here in 30 minutes.
And then
what was going on?
You said since the society. So what laws?
The same laws that apply. Like you can't assault and battery, murder. You know.
So what is assault?
They apply within the home as well as on the outside.
Okay, then what is assault, Ben?
It's general. Assault actually is fear of danger.
Okay, so you can't assault your wife then, right? That would be illegal, right? You're saying that's the laws that were taking place back then?
Yeah. Usually assault and battery go together, but yeah.
Okay, so it's the fear of said violence, and battery is the act of the physical violence. Would you not agree with that?
Right. Yes.
Okay, so that's
usually like causing substantial injury, but they
and when you do it, as your definition, it's a domestic, meaning within the home, right? If there's fear of violence and then there's battery that follows in that, and it's done to a partner, a person within your home, like your spouse, that would be considered domestic violence, wouldn't it?
Well, no, it was just considered.
Well, no. I'm saying by your definition, you said domestic means within the home, and then violence, you were talking about the physical violence. So I'm just pointing out that that's domestic violence. So then you support domestic violence laws, right, Ben?
No, I support laws, generally speaking. But yeah, there were exceptions in the sense, like you're talking about sexual assault. A man would almost never be held accountable for sexual assault of his wife because it's an exceptional situation. So that laws generally don't apply to parents towards their children. But yeah, so I mean, I guess discipline would be an exceptional case within those relationships. But at a certain point, it would be.
So I'm just saying you support
causing your spouse significant injury that she's hospitalized. Yes.
Ben, you agreed. You just defined domestic as in the home and parties within the home, right? Your spouse, to an extent, your kids could fall under that, right?
Yes.
And then you defined assault and then battery. You agreed to my definition of assault and battery. So then you do support DV laws.
I support laws that were exercised within society prior to this special regime called the domestic violence laws, which added all sorts of stipulations in order to undo the balance of power that you've never addressed, that is assumed within feminism that men have over women, that they maintain through violence. Now, you've never justified why, if in fact there isn't such a structure, and in fact it's the reverse structure, why we have laws protecting women from men. Now, I want to meditate on this.
I think there is
power from their size, right, Glenn? Glenn, men have a certain power from their size, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Do women have a different type of power?
Sure, manipulation.
Sexual power. What is it, Glenn?
Like manipulation.
Okay, they have sexual power when they're young and attractive, right? They have the power to manipulate and play victim, right?
Like I said, they have manipulation.
Throughout society, we've recognized that when women go bad, they go really bad, and when men go bad, right? But with these laws largely only affect men. They only affect men. When the cops are called, largely it is men that end up going to prison.
Now, why is that?
Why aren't these women going to
prison? Why is that, though, Ben?
Because of people like you who hate masculinity.
Oh, no, because of the Duluth model of feminism, and because of other bad actors that perverted a good law or something that could have been a good law, and they abused it.
Why would it be a good law if it's based on?
I don't know, and I think
anything that
protects the weaker from those that could physically harm them is a good thing for society.
Glenn, but Glenn, you just admitted.
No, I didn't admit anything.
Are not weaker. If anything, they're stronger.
No, women are physically weaker than men.
Okay, in one aspect, they're weaker. In other aspects, legally, they're now dominant over men.
Because there's accountability. I mean, Ben, I think you just want to have like a lack of accountability.
But that's only because other men enforce the laws.
Like, you have a lack of accountability problem in all of this because you don't
So the
want to. You don't want to be held accountable for any actions that you do and within your home. You want to be able to do whatever you want within your home to anybody, and you want to be able to get away with it and say, like, "Hey, I rule this house. I don't have to be held accountable."
All right, this shit is so off fucking track. I don't even know I'm trying to follow this. I'm taking notes as I go, right?
Yes.
But I still don't. Hang on, bro. Hang on, bro. Just calm down for a second, okay? I am not still even clear that you guys are not talking past each other. So it actually still sounds to me like you're talking past each other. So the thing is like, yeah, okay, let me see if I can make sense of this the proper way. Let me see if we can untangle this the proper way. Is it your position, Ben, that the idea that law enforcement can come to the home to enforce any of this DV is unacceptable?
The special laws, yeah. But the normal laws of society, yes, of course.
Okay. And the special laws being?
So he's saying just take the domestic out of it.
Where if you get a phone call, you have to arrest someone. All the stuff that's like brought in by feminists in law enforcement. Do you know that the police?
Okay, hang on, stop, bro. Stop. So now then, Glenn, do you dispute that? Or are you disagreeing with that?
No, I do believe that there are problems with the laws the way that they are written because of feminism and the Duluth model.
So I think they agree.
Problem.
Okay, so you can beat the debate.
Okay.
So I just won. Thank you, Glenn.
This is what we were all telling Glenn that night, that this was supposed to happen like a month ago, and everybody was saying, like, you guys basically agree. And yeah, they are just talking past each other. That's what I said. I said, Glenn, by the end, you guys could just, you'll be holding hands. It'll be all good. If you want it to be a conversation where we agree at the end, then so the only thing Glenn really can do here is just attack Ben and get him to admit that he likes to hit women. That's really all Glenn can do here. Because they pretty much agree on the legality. They both have the same issues. They both agree there should be violence laws. There should be assault, battery, kidnapping, rape, all these things. If you do that to your wife, or if your wife did it to you, if you're like some scrawny dork and you live with Ronda Rousey and she beats you I shouldn't say that about Ronda. Ronda, you're a saint. You live with a big, strong, scary woman and she beats you and grapes you and locks you up. Like, she should be held accountable for that too. But with the domestic violence stuff, with the feminism and they keep talking about the Duluth model of feminism, where women win all the cases. If you go to a DV call, it's like, I'm not good with numbers. I don't know the numbers on this stuff. I'm not in this community, but very high statistically, like 3 times as much chance that a guy's getting arrested than a woman's getting arrested. And a lot of times they're not even going to listen to his side of the story. They don't care about his side of the story. You just got to save the woman. And so they both agree that there's problems with that.
No, I did not concede the debate.
Glenn just wants to keep it called domestic violence and change the laws. Ben just wants to take the domestic out of it and just have it be regular laws.
I said that there's problems within the laws. There's problems within the laws, but that doesn't mean you throw the law out. You could reform the law. You could fix the law to where and get rid of the Duluth model altogether, right? But you can still have the law in place that protects those within the home. You can still have DV laws that protect those without feminism involved.
Okay. What would the law look like? Okay, so let me give you an example. If a woman today,
the law would look like.
But wouldn't a good way to reform that and do that, take the feminists out of it, is take the domestic out of it? Just quit calling it domestic violence or DV. I guess we're not allowed to say that on YouTube, but DV. I feel like in debate settings on YouTube, you can get away with saying this if you're having a debate about DV. But I guess Andrew's just being safe because I know his channel is in the crosshairs of the Eye of Sauron, which is YouTube.
Like you can't smack your wife. That's what it would look like.
Listen for 1 minute. Just listen for 1 minute. If a woman today goes to a court, right, with about her intimate partner, whatever, okay, she can write down something on a sheet. That's a pure lie. And the court will instantly sign away. They will not ask for evidence. There's no hearing. She has the ability to take his children away from him right, to force him outside of the home, he will lose his First Amendment right and very importantly, his Second Amendment right to bear arms. And then they will schedule a hearing at which he has to come and defend himself as to why he should have the basic rights that he has by nature. Okay, that's crazy. There is no other regime in our legal system, even if you're
your problem is the due process. Your problem is they make these decisions without due process, and I agree with you. They need to stop doing that. They should start doing
innovations, Glenn.
The lack
of conformity with basic legal philosophy. Those are the innovations.
You strip the things that are the problem, but you keep the bones of what the laws are supposed to do, which is protect those that are weaker from harm.
Whose job is it to protect families primarily, Glenn?
The husbands.
Okay. Right.
And then who protects the family from the the dad that likes to kick, or the husband that likes to punch?
At a certain point,
the law.
Sometimes I join in when I'm at work, but there's a lot of background noise, and I have an earbud in, so it's like canceling all the background noise, and then the mic sounds like crap, and it just sounds bad, and then people can't hear me, and yeah, it's just not good.
The legal structure does.
Exactly.
But Glenn,
that's why there's laws.
Glenn,
laws to protect those from.
Anytime I'm around copyright music, I have to mute. Anytime somebody comes up to me and starts talking to me, I have to mute. And I end up just sitting there on mute the whole time. And then, yeah, I can't really do it while I'm at work very well. A lot of times I want to jump in there and just say something real quick and then get out. But
from the people like you that want to do this type of damage.
Okay, yeah. So you don't believe in fatherhood. You don't believe that fathers can raise their hand and discipline their children. And
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I did not say that.
You want?
No, I did not. You can't speak for me. Don't tell me what I want. You don't know what I want, man. No, I want there to be accountability on all sides here. You don't want accountability on your side at all. You don't want. You are just as bad as a feminist that love to avoid accountability, Ben. Just admit it.
Glenn, yes, I will admit it.
Okay, you do.
That men should be far less accountable to women and children and bitches like you. Absolutely.
So you don't think that you should be held accountable? You should have no accountability
out of my fucking life.
Accountability.
You try to step in between me and that.
This is the problem. You don't want to be accountable. You don't want to be held accountable for anything.
If a bitch like you tried to step
in, just as bad as the feminist.
He's got the mic I want. He's got the DJI. I think that's a DJI mic. I don't know if it's the 2 or the 1. I'm getting the 2.
Your fucking mouth for a second.
You're just as bad as the girl that wants to have an abortion.
Actually, that might not be DJI. That might be a cheaper one.
If a bitch like you tried to step in on me, disciplining my wife,
then you wouldn't do anything.
I would absolutely.
I know. I miss when I had Friday and Saturdays off because could watch the fights, could do VK. That would be cool.
All right.
Have some goddamn respect, Glenn.
All right, so
respect for a bitch.
Okay, so moving back into this, we'll start with you.
Worship bitches because you are one.
I just want to be clear here, because the more I'm listening to this, the more I don't actually see what you guys are actually even arguing about here. So if we're talking about the fact that there's DV laws, you both seem to not like how they're structured. Yep. You both seem to not like what Ben is considering these additionals, which are added to them, right? So what are we arguing? So then clearly, what the hell are we arguing about here? If both of you are in agreement that you don't like the current structure of these laws and you want to roll them back, hang on, let me ask Glenn real quick, Ben. Okay. What are we arguing here?
So what I'm arguing for is that I would love to see reform of these laws to make them reflect off of current data, like the FBI data when it comes to DV, right? So we can see, like, okay, when a police officer is coming to a scene, he's not just assuming that the perpetrator is going to be male, right? He's going.
I don't trust FBI data though. FBI data sucks.
To take time to assess the scene and do his job properly, right? Not just based off of assumption, but based off of this.
If we're going off FBI data, then white school Udershays are like the majority of the gun violence in the world comes from young white Udershays. Udershays. That's pig Latin.
Duluth model that he was been programmed to believe is going to be the thing.
When really it comes from gang violence.
Right. I would like there to be accountability. I think accountability on all ends is important. Okay. I think fathers should be held accountable. There should be laws that we have laws in place to make sure that there is no abuse of power. Okay. For anybody.
All right. Now I think I think I get it now. Let me just make sure I'm just going to clear this up and let you guys get back to the debate here. So is it your position then, Glenn, here that what you're saying is if a wife calls the police should show up. It's just that it shouldn't be they shouldn't arbitrate it and just instantly send one to the jail or something like that, or whatever the the Duluth model is that you're talking about. You guys are obviously more familiar with these laws than me. And Ben, are you saying that is not appropriate? Like they shouldn't do that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could, in many cases, if it's the first time, I think the way it works in like the Russian Federation, if it's the first time, they'll show up. If it's the second time, they'll say like, I don't know, work it out. It used to be that the cops largely showed up to these circumstances and said, you're going to have to work it out yourself. We're not really stepping in here because obviously, how are you going to figure out who?
To be fair, not to be fair. I don't know why. Stop saying to be fair. Ben is like biased here because he just went through some stuff relating to this, which is why he's real passionate about this now. But we don't know. I don't know his life. I don't know his personal life. Maybe it's justified. Maybe he is a fucked up dude to his family. And that's why he keeps going through these situations. Or maybe he's not a horrible dude and it's kind of is a bit on the internet and I don't know. See, I don't know his personal life. I don't know if he's unjustly or justly going through the court crap with his wife and with his daughter and all this other stuff. But he's got like 5 kids and I don't know. I don't know his personal life like that, but I do feel like he's biased in this debate, and this is why he's so irked about this situation.
Is abusing the other person in a complex.
Oh, okay, so now I see where the actual argument is. So you want to keep in place the idea that Glenn, that the state can still offer protections to women, or whatever you want to call it,
women or men.
Yeah, women or men. And then Ben, you're saying, look, I don't even actually think it's appropriate for the state to be stepping in on most of these cases at all.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, like the authority of the family should be respected.
Okay. So then let's argue from that paradigm, so that we're not now that we know what the hell we're talking about, we've gotten to the bottom of it. Let's argue from that paradigm. Then we'll start with you, Ben. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to an explicit example of where Glenn and I differ, I think he does not see a difference between men and women beyond the physical. He would say that a man can never touch a woman in anger other than in self-defense, right? And so his thing about like men and women, like I said, this thing about regicide, where it's a woman is like attacking, it's like killing her in a sense, God for her by killing a man. Glenn does not see it that way. He sees men and women as equals. And I think that's a fundamentally non-traditional, unhealthy, destructive view of the family. And if you don't have strong men, you don't have strong families. If you don't have strong families, you don't have a strong society. And if you want the state to play daddy and humiliate actual fathers, you're destroying society. Dean. If a woman could just pick up the phone and have police show up and humiliate the father of her children in front of her children, have him taken away based on lies, and she's never held accountable, which is how it goes, is how it went with me, then you hate society. And you, as a man, are the worst type of man to be promulgating this, Glenn. Because you claim to be on men's side, but you're just a total ultra feminist.
Well, the floor is open too, Glenn, if you want.
So what I'm saying is that I want accountability. So if somebody makes a call, I want the cops to do their job, thoroughly investigate, make sure that if there was any type of violence or any type of assault that took place, I would want them to investigate that. I want them to investigate who perpetrated.
Why?
For the protection of the people that may have been assaulted, Ben.
Well, if two people get in a fight and they push each other or they slap each other a little bit, you, as the bitch you are, you were the neighbor. Let me fucking finish, Glenn. Let me finish, Glenn. You, as the bitch you are, you want the police to come and have a thorough investigation of their fucking family's dynamics.
One at a time. At least let Glenn finish his point before you respond. He let you go through your whole thing there, Ben. Go ahead, Glenn.
So he just pointed out it's the two people fighting, right? So now a woman and a man are equal, Ben, physically, right? They're just equal. Men, why should they not investigate? Because they should investigate to make sure that the weaker person.
He's constantly in crazy situations. he's one of these crazy people who never should have had access to the internet, who got it, and his whole family lost their damn mind because of YouTube.
Is not going to be physically.
They probably lost their minds a little bit earlier than that, but YouTube didn't help.
Harmed and their life threatened if they may stay in that situation.
Okay,
that's why. Because their lives matter. Although you may not think their lives matter, but their lives do matter. All right.
That should be your motto. You are a bitch.
They should be
you are a bitch.
Especially from people like that want to do violent harm. That are going to physically harm them. They should be protected from that. Because as you said, the father should protect them. But if the father is not protecting them from himself, then somebody needs to protect the children and the wife from the father. The husband.
Here's the thought: the vast majority of women can handle themselves. They don't need the fucking cops coming in and doing a thorough investigation. Because Glen fucking Lauren, the bitch next door, called the cops because he heard a couple of people having an argument, right?
Did I say that? No, let's just use the
thorough investigation.
Someone is having a mild fight. Andrew just brought up. No. He said a wife could just call, and you he wanted the police to come over, and you said you didn't like that. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, but let's say that there was physical harm being done, and the wife called, and you don't want the police to come. So you want that woman to have to stay in that abusive, violent situation because you say so.
All violent situations are not abusive. There are women who need to be corrected, and there are women in some situations who need to be.
You can't even give me.
There are some women.
Parameters of that.
I'm giving you. I'm giving you.
What are the parameters of this?
Glenn, let him respond. Glenn, let him respond. Go ahead, Ben.
There are some situations in which violence is appropriate, and even killing the other person is appropriate. If whoever it is attacks my children, it can go all the way in terms of my defending them to death. And I think if you say, well, all these women die at the hands of men every year, I'm not saying that's a great thing, but it's part of life. Sometimes bitches go too far.
Ben, can you give me some, please, parameters of this level of violence that you think is appropriate? When can you kill your wife, Ben? Under what circumstances can you do that?
You just said if they threaten their kids.
We're not diving into that.
But it's just self-defense. I'm just saying self-defense.
Okay, so like my position that I said, that I think that self-defense is necessary. You have the right to defend yourself from any threat, no matter what the gender. And that's where I agree.
Why? You can't resolve the basic problem. You say that women are more powerful than men, and yet we need law enforcement to come in to protect them from.
He just said if the mother is threatening the lives of his kids, then it might go too far. And I think I can agree with that. And before anybody's like, well, the mom's the protector of the child, and she would never do that. We've watched plenty of crazy interrogation videos of mothers that have done some messed up stuff to their kids. So it does happen. I don't know what's more common, a father doing that, ending the lives of their children, or a mother, but it happens from both sides. So I could see a father having to step in from a crazy mama and stop something from happening.
Men, that is incoherent, Glenn.
No, you're twisting my words.
That's what women can handle themselves.
They have the power because they have the law enforcement on their.
If we had a good Christian society, if people got married under the umbrella of God, you wouldn't have to worry about all of this stuff.
Side right now with the Duluth model of feminism.
Okay, so you're in favor of those things.
So I say get rid of the Duluth model of feminism, and you have police do their job, and police protect and serve, do their job.
Okay, so if you're having an argument with a woman, and I'm a neighbor, and I hear the tussle, you want me to call the police and have them fully investigate your relationship with that woman. That's the kind of bitch you are.
If you hear one tussle, what's a tussle, Ben? Because I can't get you to define any terms. What is a tussle, Ben?
I don't know. Maybe you get mad and you
don't know you don't know the definition of the words that you're using.
Oh God, Glenn, you use your own.
Right, but how are you going to get the kids away from the mother without the court stepping in? And the court's going to often take the side of the mother. You can't physically remove the mother from the house, because now that's DV. So you have to just call the cops and then let the court handle it. Good luck with that.
Only point in this entire debate.
I'm asking you. You can't give me a definition. You have not been able to
example. We all know what a fight is, Glenn. If I hear two people raising their voice,
is it an argument?
I hear two people raising their voice.
This is an argument. Is this a tussle, Ben?
That's fine. Go ahead. You talk. Let me know when you're done.
Is this a tussle? Because we are raising our voice, Ben. Is this a tussle?
Yeah, I'm sure you'd like to call the police and have them.
Is this a tussle, Ben? I'm asking you. Is this a tussle, Ben?
No.
Is this your definition of a tussle, or is this a definition of an argument, Ben?
Call the police and have me arrested.
Is this a definition of an argument, Ben?
Violating you because
you gotta let him respond, Glenn. You gotta let him respond, Glenn.
If this was happening in a house, it could be DV.
Glenn, your point is like, I'm just going to keep you asking to specify things that everyone knows. People get in arguments. People get in fights. For the most part,
I think Grace just threw something at him.
they resolve them themselves.
What is
Otherwise,
a
why would
fight?
you be in a relationship with this person?
What
You
is a
start
fight?
crying and panicking and want to call the police
What
if
is
there
a
is a
fight?
man and a woman who are having an argument. That's called having a relationship, Glenn.
What
And
is a
you
fight?
have failed in your relationships because
What
you
is
have
a
refused to
what is
take
a
the part
fight?
of a man
That's
and
right.
assert yourself when women are being out of
Yeah,
hand.
okay, but I'm not in a situation where never mind. I won't even
Yeah,
go.
no, let's go there. No, Glenn, let's go there.
I'm not,
Let's
let me
go
answer
there.
again.
What
You
did
still
your
haven't
wife
answered
do?
the question. What is a
What
fight?
did your
Ben?
no?
What
Let's
is
go
a
there.
fight?
We're not
Let's
getting
go
into
there.
no personal nothing. I already told you. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
He
What
wants
is
to go
the
there.
fight? What is a fight, Ben?
Okay,
Can
this
people
is
get in
what
a fight?
you're gonna do
Is
this
it a
time on the
physical
internet, asking
altercation?
what a fight
Is it
is.
physical altercation or is it an argument? I'm just trying to understand what your terms are, Ben.
I'm not answering that question. If you don't know what a fight is, you should kill yourself because I just don't know what to say.
No.
All right. Well, that's enough of that. So, I don't know why. Again,
Ben's laughing.
All right, I'm sorry.
so,
I apologize. Glenn, I was just
yeah.
kidding. I disavow. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what to say. Like, you
Well,
should
here's
say
what I'm
I-
going to
how
do.
about that?
I'm going to let callers stack in
He
while I
said,
let
"You
you
don't
guys
know
give a
what a-"
closing statement because we're about an hour 15 into the debate, roughly. That's
All right.
about where I told you
We're
guys
not
we'd
going to
be in the
listen
back
to the
and forth
callers. We're going to hear
before I
the
started to take on callers. That's
closing
about where we're
statement
at.
real quick.
So, that's what we're going to do. So now, Ben, you were the person who opened, and so I'm going to give you the last closing statement, which is fair. Glenn Lawrence, you have 7 minutes on the clock for your close. Go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah. What you guys were witnessing tonight? One thing I couldn't get Ben to really define anything tonight. Like what parameters of use of violence can one have over those that are in his home? And he couldn't tell me when he thinks that law enforcement should be involved. If there is law enforcement involvement, he doesn't think that if there's an individual that is experiencing any type of physical harm done by their spouse or their significant other, and they call the police, that police should come. He thinks that they shouldn't come, and that person should, still be in this situation where their life could be harmed and taken. He thinks that's appropriate. I believe that we have these laws in place, although these laws need to be reformed and to reflect our current society and culture and what's currently going on. And the language should change, and we should remove some of the very bad things that are in these laws that tend to make men to be the victims of false allegations. I do think the framework and the spirit of the law is good. We want to protect those that are weaker. We have laws to protect children from abuse. Okay, why shouldn't we have laws to protect women from abuse? And why shouldn't we have laws to protect men from abuse? I think these laws, or the framework of these laws, are good for society because it protects those that are weaker. We need to protect those that are weaker than us, and that's what we should do. I will end there by saying that Ben did not be able to provide any of that, and if Ben had his way, he would be able to beat whatever women that lives with, who he's with, or his wife, or his kids, and that there would be no consequence because he is the ultimate authority of his home. And that as long as he wants to live under Russian Federation law, well then he should probably just move to Russia. Okay, that probably solve the problem altogether. But that's my final thoughts. I have nothing else to say.
All right.
Yeah, that's the best jab you can take in the closing.
All right, Ben, go ahead.
Okay, is it 3 minutes, Andrew?
That was a good little icing he put on the cake at the end there. Is if Ben had his way, he would just be able to hit his women whenever he wanted. And Ben just kind of nodded his head. Yeah, Ben's gonna bite the bullet on that one.
Well, it's up to 7, but I mean, if you want to keep them somewhat brief, there's a lot of callers that want to call in.
Okay, great. I just want to point out Glenn is a complete and utter moron because he keeps saying women are weaker, and then he admits that actually, in fact, they're stronger. You cannot hold two contradictory positions. It's the most basic logical law, the law of non-contradiction. He keeps saying women are weaker because he's a bitch and he identifies as a woman, but at the same time, he says women are stronger and men are oppressed. Only one of those things can be true, Glenn. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. Only one of those things can be true. And the truth is that women are unbelievably powerful in our society. Any woman can destroy any man. And by the time the law catches up, which it will eventually catch up, that man's life is largely
What he did at the end. Tonight, is it over? That means it's going to cut off soon.
destroyed unless you're a guy like me who's able to parlay it into a career and ball on the internet with it. For most guys, they lose their job, they lose their homes, they lose their kids, their families are destroyed, their kids lose their father for significant enough time that it destroys their life. And for you to sit there as a man and defend that is absolutely...
I see it's unavailable. What happened at the end? Yeah, it's over. We almost got to the end of Ben's closing. What do you do at the end? Because I can't. It's unavailable. It's behind the paywall now. They do something crazy at the end. I hope he didn't flash his junk or do something to get the channel taken down or something. I don't know, but I gotta go. I gotta go to work. Elo's up. The Elo is up to 560, which is low. Should be at like 800. All right. I gotta head out. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. See if I can send you over to Buff's channel. I don't know. I missed what Ben did. Did he do something at the very end? Bad? I don't know. I didn't get to see all of his closing statement because it cut off just now. But I gotta go, guys. I'll see you. I don't know when next. Sunday for sure. But maybe tomorrow for a short stream. We'll see.